What if Knull, the god of darkness and the creator of symbiotes, invaded the DC universe? Based off of a lot of the research I did on the character, he seems to be one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel universe. And I imagine if he came over to DC, he would uphold that same standard. Now, this idea came from my Discord channel where someone mentioned what we think would happen if the Justice League fought Knull. And I thought it was a great question. It got my mind running, and that's why we're doing this video today, except we're changing it from Knull against the Justice League to Knull against the DC universe, because I think it would be more on par on that level. Also, you guys should join the Discord. Link will be in the description below, because sometimes we have some really cool conversations like that. But if you guys want to see how I think it would go down with Knull in DC, stick around and let's get into this story. It opens up in the Far Shore, one of the farthest distances in the Marvel universe, where Knull is currently located at this time. It is so far in the vast reaches of time and space, where all effects of time and space cannot be influenced here. But beyond the Far Shore is only mystery, and one that Knull wishes to seek answers to. So Knull feels a pull, some kind of tension, leading him to the mystery beyond the Far Shore. And after billions of light years of travel, if not more, he approaches a great structure, the Source Wall, filled with information and history he has never seen in his universe. But suddenly, sitting there analyzing the structure, he feels the source beyond the Source Wall, the answer to all life and light, and he must extinguish it. But first, it's about getting through the wall and how he's going to do that. Using his sword and a multitude of his powers, trying to find a way to pry into the Source Wall, he can't get it done. So now that he's officially in the DC universe, with a multitude of brand new life and beings out there waiting for him to discover, he thinks to himself, I might as well dominate these beings, and there's bound to be someone, something, or a multitude of somebodies out there who are powerful enough to break through this wall so I can get to the source. Knull would move throughout the universe, taking over lesser beings' worlds, dominating them with symbiotes, and turning other creatures and animals from various worlds into his own personal war beasts. He would expand his knowledge and discover what the DC universe has to offer, and also discover what type of powerful beings and gods exist within this universe, offering him challenges that differ from the Marvel universe. Throughout his travels and his domination, he would discover the epicenter of this universe, mainly being Earth. This world that holds a various amount of heroes and villains that could assist him in covering this universe in darkness faster than he already is, and potentially helping him through the Source Wall. Could he walk over to Earth right now and cause complete havoc and chaos, and maybe even win? Absolutely. But why not make the fight easier for himself? This is where he decides to venture off with the army he already has into Oa. For once in their very long lives, the Guardians are at a disadvantage. They have no answers. They don't know who this Knull is. His sword is a power that is almost unrivaled. His armor cannot be penetrated, and his symbiotes, his power of darkness, not even the light of the Green Lanterns can do anything against it. Light being the hatred of Knull, he makes it a priority to kill these lanterns, and for the ones that he does dominate to put throughout his army, he changes these rings so that when they shoot out constructs, they all come out as symbiote constructs. His power is so strong it completely overtakes other people's abilities, even abilities and power sources made from a byproduct of the universe in lantern rings. And throughout this as well, side point, he also kills all the Guardians of the Universe. After this, Knull says, we already got the greens, how many other colors are out there? And he proceeds to go off and find all other colored lantern rings to turn them symbiotified, if you will. Throughout his continued conquering, Knull comes across a bunch of old/new gods, and he comes across Naboo, in which he defeats Naboo and even influences him to join his hive mind. On Earth, Kent Nelson, Dr. Fate, is wearing the helmet. Fate is ordered and controlled by Naboo to prepare Earth for the arrival of Knull. This is where Knull continues to go through multiple sections of the universe, dominating all life and species to his cause. A majority of his army would consist of lanterns, parademons, Thanagarians, and even the Reach. Arriving to Earth to warn the Justice League and the rest of the metahumans around the world, including the world itself, is Hal Jordan, who is horribly beat up, severely injured. He's even surprised he made it back to Earth alive. He essentially warns everybody there's this being Knull who can do unexplainable things with this weird symbiote thing. There's almost nothing we could do to stop him, as he's trying to explain to the Justice League what's going on. Dr. Fate, to his allegiance to Knull, kills Hal Jordan in front of everyone, and then creates a massive portal, allowing Knull to move his entire army into the Sol System over Earth from wherever they were in the universe, making the travel seamless. It does not take long for all of Earth's forces to become quickly displaced and outmatched. Even the world's strongest heroes are struggling to even remotely make a difference against Knull. And along with Dr. Fate, Knull wants maybe 2 more right-hand men. I mean, he's already got some lanterns, notable ones, probably like a Kyle Rayner or a Guy Gardner, but you can never have too much. He goes after 2 very specific characters in Martian Manhunter and Captain Atom. Captain Atom's abilities are almost keeping the symbiotes away from his body. The amount of radiation he produces is pretty much symbiote kryptonite. But with how many forces and how much power Knull has, he just overwhelms Captain Atom with as much symbiote fluid he possibly can. And then for Martian Manhunter, he realizes how powerful this character is. And I thought it would be a really cool idea, kind of like water and oil. When you mix them together, they don't really mix. And that's kind of how the DNA of Martian Manhunter would work. Martian Manhunter is constantly fighting the symbiote, but the DNAs kind of mesh together in a way. He would just look like a completely chaotic character, now in service to Knull through the hive mind. All these other superheroes and villains and characters of power on Earth that Knull comes across, they're either being turned into a symbiote or they're dying. Overall, a presence like Knull is way too much for Earth to bear, and in a swift moment, he essentially takes over 95% of our world. That essentially leaves a very select few of characters to hide away in the Watchtower somewhere in the solar system where they can't be traced, shielding the Watchtower in invisibility or just completely blocking themselves off so nobody is capable of finding them. A couple of months go by, and there's only a few survivors that we know of in the moment. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Zatanna, Mr. Terrific, Black Canary, and Dr. Light, the Kimiyohoshi iteration of the character. Over these months, they've tried finding survivors, taking a symbiote-covered human being or maybe even hero, trying to experiment and dissect what these symbiotes really are and what they do. However, the 2 things they do discover is Black Canary's scream acts as a weakness, at least temporary, for the symbiote, and Dr. Light's light, because that is the big hatred to Knull. Batman and Mr. Terrific analyze Knull's movements from afar to see what he may have planned. Superman continues to get weaker as Knull has created a symbiote construct that has begun to darken the sun. Imagine in the solar system, all the planets are getting covered in symbiote goo. The sun is getting covered by symbiote goo, but then he creates a massive dome stretching billions of light years, covering the solar system. This is now his new home. To do it at a quicker rate, he's using Captain Atom almost as an engine. He has infused symbiosis through Captain Atom's body, and he's basically being used to pump out symbiote goo at a higher level, dispersing symbiosis all over the solar system. And then even Zatanna and Wonder Woman, they have continuously discussed if there is any way to get the mask off of Fate so that they can talk to Kent to see if he has witnessed anything that could potentially defeat Knull. Finally, these surviving characters have a big break. They get a pre-recorded message that was probably recorded months ago before Knull came to Earth from Mr. Miracle on New Genesis. During this recording, you can see in the background that New Genesis is getting destroyed by Knull and his forces. We don't know how he knows this, but Mr. Miracle has found out that Knull's clear purpose and intention is to enter the Source Wall, to take over the Source, so that taking over the multiverse will bode easier for him. He hates all life, creation, and light, and wants to wipe it from existence. If there is any chance for these survivors to stop him, Mr. Miracle gives a special coordinate to the survivors that will allow for them to teleport and enter the Source Wall. With this brand new information, the surviving members devise a plan, even if it is a 1% chance of being able to work and beat Knull. They have to take it as a certainty. The team decides to split. Half will distract Knull in the Soul System, while the other half will venture off to the Source Wall. The characters that decide to stay in the solar system to have one final showdown against Knull is Black Canary, Zatanna, Superman, and Wonder Woman. The other characters that go to the Source Wall is Batman, Mr. Terrific, and Dr. Light. Before departing with this plan, they craft a very high-tech device that when Black Canary screams into it, it's so loud that it spreads across the solar system, affecting every single one of the symbiotes that Knull has around. Black Canary is sent to an undisclosed location where she starts screaming as loud and as long as possible to keep the symbiotes and the hosts at bay, while Superman, Zatanna, and Wonder Woman find a way to get to Dr. Fate. And let me keep this in mind for you guys too. Superman would be wearing some form of a suit that Mr. Terrific and Batman would have created that feeds him yellow sun energy while the sun is not visible. Batman and Mr. Terrific unsheath the Watchtower, which gains the attention of a symbiotified Martian Manhunter. As he arrives to the Watchtower, no one is on board, and it's rather silent. Martian Manhunter finds a bomb rigged to blow on the Watchtower. The explosion is so large, it annihilates all the symbiotified people on the Watchtower, including Martian Manhunter, and it blows open a hole in the symbiote shielding around the solar system, in which Batman, Mr. Terrific, and Dr. Light in one of Mr. Terrific's T-sphere ships fly straight through, escaping the Soul System. Now, with Knull discovering there's something bigger at play here, seeing the explosion from a distance, he seeks out where the screaming from Black Canary is coming from. With this high-pitched screaming, it's also inflicting Captain Atom, which is distracting him from spreading more of the symbiosis across the solar system, and some of the symbiosis is slowly excreting for the sun, allowing more light to shine through, empowering Superman a little more than he was before. Superman, Wonder Woman, and Zatanna locate Dr. Fate, and a very temporary spell, Zatanna is capable of lifting the mask off of Dr. Fate, where they can now ask him questions. This is the huge revelation. With his mind free, Kent tells them that there is no saving himself, Earth, or the universe for that matter. All they can do is try to find a way to defeat Knull in hopes that other universes don't have to go through what our universe did. As Dr. Fate is giving them this information, unfortunately for Black Canary, Knull finds her, and she is quickly killed. However, she does know that she was going to die. This was just one of the final sacrifices she was capable of giving the team to hopefully defeat Knull. With the Screaming gone, Knull divides some of his forces to go after the survivors. With only a couple of minutes remaining on the spell of the helmet, Dr. Fate floats the helmet on Captain Atom's head. He uses a magical spell to create an arcane bomb, and then he says somebody has to fly Captain Atom into the middle of the sun, and the energy that Captain Atom produces, along with the bomb that Dr. Fate has strapped to the helmet, it will be enough energy to completely annihilate everything in the solar system. As he's telling them this, Knull arrives again and strikes down Kent Nelson, killing him. Superman flies into Captain Atom and starts racing towards the sun, while Zatanna is trying to open even the smallest hole for Superman to fly through. Wonder Woman is doing all she can to help Zatanna to keep her covered, but it's just not going to be enough. Zatanna, wrapped around her waist, has a small teleporter disc. She floats it off and pushes it over to Wonder Woman, teleporting her to where Batman and Mr. Terrific are. And as Wonder Woman disappears through the small portal, Zatanna killed by many of the symbiotes around her. And just as the hole starts to shrink and get even smaller before it closes, Superman manages to get Captain Atom through into the sun, and the body of Captain Atom, the helmet of Dr. Fate, explodes all at once, creating a humongous supernova, completely evaporating every single thing around it. However, this is not enough for Knull, and he's still alive, but he is completely furious. The way he arrived in the DC universe is now where he currently is. No forces, no army, just himself. Only equipped with his sword and a couple of surviving lantern rings that have been symbiotified, he says there's a whole universe out there. There are still more species to take over. Let me restart my army. He all of a sudden hears whispers from the source wall, the source itself, telling him that he is needed there, telling him that all of his questions will be answered there, and the power he's always wanted will be his. Knull departs, no army, just himself with the weapons he has. A couple of days pass, and he finally arrives at the source wall. This time it's a little bit different, and there's an opening for him to go straight through. He is now getting the sense that this is a trap for him, but he does not care. He's too powerful. There is nothing that can stop him. As he makes his way through, he sees thousands, hundreds of thousands of stony structures of beings who have tried to enter the source wall for its power and faced its consequence. As he's making his way through, Wonder Woman surprise attacks him, sword against sword, strength against strength, and they have one massive battle in the walls of the source. And Wonder Woman is putting up a good fight, better than he expects. Through their fight, from a distance, Batman and Mr. Terrific are offering every assistance to Wonder Woman that they can. All it really is distractions. It's not doing much to Knull. It's more of an annoyance. And as they get near the source, there's nothing they can do. They can't hold off Knull. He takes Batman, Mr. Terrific, and Wonder Woman one by one and kills them, but then ravels their body with the symbiote, making them 3 new powerful forces to an eventual army he will regrow. Knull reaches the source. It's bright and huge. But as he prepares to poison the source with symbiosis, Kimio slowly emerges from the source, somehow so much brighter than the source itself, it makes Knull shield his eyes and slightly back away. In their research, Batman and Mr. Terrific discovered that Kimio's light, her source of power, it actually stretches back to the light that created the existence of the multiverse in the first place. With these calculations, even if it was a small chance, they believed that Kimio could infuse herself with the light of the source and use it to her potential to defeat Knull. Within a matter of seconds, the light she's producing is reaching all corners of their universe. Kimio grabs him by the throat, shining from her eyes and her mouth, and she says, "Your great darkness shall be returned to the void, never to be seen again." And as Kimio explodes into this powerful blast of light, Knull cries and screams in anger, and their one universe is completely destroyed in the hopes that the rest of the multiverse can survive. Now, the source wall is extremely damaged, and it may have implications for the multiverse down the road, but that is for other characters and other worlds to solve. After this explosion, destroying their universe, an uncertain amount of light years away and an unknown amount of time later, a piece of symbiote is seen flying through space with no destination. As it seamlessly flies through space, a green shine can be seen surrounding the space around it, and chunks of asteroid fly by even faster than the symbiote. A small rocket ship flies right by, and the symbiote sticks to the metal. It slowly crawls inside one of the ship's vents. Baby Kal-El is making his way to Earth with a symbiote passenger. So there you go, guys. That is my story of how Knull would try to invade the DC universe. And always keep in mind, if this were a full-fledged story or series, there would be so many more details that would go into it. But I gotta make this into one video. Details have to be cut. However, I did want to leave it open for symbiotes to be used, and a piece or pieces of the symbiote managed to find its way into other universes. Now you can use the symbiote on a smaller scale like you would with Venom, instead of using a god or a deity like Knull. So guys, you leave in the comments below, what did you think of my story, and how do you think it would go down if Knull came to the DC universe? Would he win, or would there be a way where the Justice League and the rest of the heroes could find a way to beat him? That is all I have for you on this video, everyone. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and until the next time, I will talk to you all very soon.